What it is, and what it shall be. There were none before us, there'll be none after us. Certified, bona fide, and indubitably qualified to bring the satisfaction with a whole lot of action. This is Elevated Vibes, raising consciousness, one mind at a time. Welcome. Today is a special day. I mean, I guess every day is a special day, but
That's right.
Today is a unique opportunity of merging the old with the new. And by old, I mean the OG. One of the original podcasters is in the house. He used to be in the pilot seat, but now he moved up to the front office. All right. The gatekeeper. And we'll tell you why you call him the gatekeeper, because he lets the true flow in and keeps that bull out. All right. You know, you might know him as the Aurora Whisperer. If you want to know what's going down in Aurora, this is the brother to know. Longtime friend, honor, pleasure. So happy to see him again. I mean, brother been through challenges and still came out smelling like a fresh rose of flowers, you know. And speaking of flowers, this brother knows how to plant. He got that green thumb. So without further ado, the gatekeeper, Ed, welcome back.
Man, thank you, and I appreciate it. It's like you said, it's been a long time, but it feels good to be on this side and
back in the pilot seat.
Yes,
I mean, you moved up to management, so now you back here.
You know, I just move around. You know, never up or down. I just move around. You know, so
okay,
it's just a blessing, man, and I'm just glad to be here again.
Glad to have you back in the pilot seat. Also, we got a rookie with us. All right, it's his second flight, I believe, and we're so glad to have him here. Eric is earning his pilot wings, and we got to come up with a nickname for you. You know, we gonna have to call you something, Mr. DeKalb. We all have our nicknames on this show. I know what we're gonna call. We're just gonna call you Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna call you, Detroit. All right. You know, the sister city of Chicago. Just Chicago's a lot pretty. So, and the man of the people, the common man, just like Jesus, this man is a carpenter. All right. But he puts the people first. We've had him here on the show. This is a man who is committed to the idea of public service. And we're going to talk about that because it is a service and it should not be used as an opportunity to gain. And we're going to get into it. So tonight's show is going to be about Aurora. But this is also your opportunity to learn more about politics and the game of politics. And I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, well, this ain't federal. Why should I be concerned? Right? This ain't even state. This is one city. Well, if you're listening, chances are you're here in Illinois. Aurora is the second largest city in Illinois. And when they say politics are local, right? You're more likely to interact with the cop on the street than you are your senator. You're more likely to interact with your tax commissioner than you are with your representative from the House, right? You're more likely to interact with the librarian and the books that go into the library than you are anybody on the federal level. And let's be honest, that's why, let's say, the liberal wing has found itself off kilter, because for so long, the other side has been running a ground game of taking over local politics. And when you control local politics, you control the upper game, because you determine who is the gatekeeper and who comes in and who comes out. We'll talk about stuff like gerrymandering, kicking people off the ballot tonight. But that's enough of an intro. I want to turn to our guest tonight. John Lash is running for mayor of Aurora, Illinois. He is one of, right now, 5 candidates running for the mayor. Ed is running for commissioner of Fox Valley. And so we're going to talk about your visions, the issues, and all of that stuff tonight. Please give us a call. Our number here in the studio is 708-223-8953. Again, that's 708-223-8953. If you want to get the real talk and not that political talk, like you want somebody who's actually going to answer your question and not give you word salad, tonight's the night to call. Tonight's the night where you begin to understand how politics impact us each and every day. Just a little side note, people are now talking about these tariffs, all right? That's on the federal level. A lot of people didn't know what tariffs were. They thought it was going to be good. Now, when your Samsung TV costs $8,000, you will understand tariffs, okay? But we don't have to get to that point, right? These two gentlemen are here to educate us and make us knowledgeable about politics, its impact upon our daily lives. So first, John, you're running for mayor. This is, as I know, your second time running for mayor. Why?
It is. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Glad to be here. I think I was here last time when I was running for mayor, not alderman. But since that time, I've successfully won a seat to become alderman at large in the city of Aurora and be a voice for the people. And you asked why I'm running. I see myself as part of a larger movement to provide a voice for the people instead of the rich people who typically buy off our elected officials and politicians. And I feel like we need to go through this transformation at every level of government. And I've never really seen myself necessarily as always having to be the candidate. Sometimes I'm just as good behind the scenes working for people that I believe in. And in general, the overarching thing that I want to see is a government that works for the people, not the wealthy people that can buy off our elected officials. It takes a lot of money to run a campaign. And so what often happens is the easy road for somebody who wants to get into office is to go to big donors, ask those big donors for money. And then, of course, once you get elected, those big donors, it turns out they're going to want something back for the investment that they've made. And so what we have is a government that's run by people who can afford to donate to campaigns, millionaires and billionaires, and this is every level of government. At the local level, you see a lot of developers come in, get sweetheart deals, get the taxpayers to fund a lot of their development deals, and people don't necessarily know why their taxes are going up and where that money's going, but a lot of times it's getting shoveled into the developer's pocket to make it easier. And you always see the realtor, the developer all sipping Tahitis on their new yacht, and the rest of us are dealing with a hangover, which is increased traffic, an increased need for infrastructure, an increased need for police and first responders. And we end up paying for that. So we paid for it coming in on the development side, and then we're continue to pay for it in the city services that we now have to have. So that's not that's not visionary statement. It's just a broader reason why I'm engaged in the whole electoral process. Okay. And working on a Senate race prior to becoming alderman at large, I started to see we defeated, and it was probably the biggest upset in the state of Illinois, an opportunity to teach more people. This election cycle, there's about 20 people we've helped get on the ballot to people that genuinely want to serve their community. And we're going to try and teach people how to run a grassroots campaign instead of a big money campaign that's connected to the power brokers.
Awesome. Ed, what's going on in Aurora that needs to be changed? I mean, hold on. Let me get him started. Police reform.
Okay, so let me try to tackle that all in one, right?
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that needs to be changed in Aurora right now is accountability. We need accountability for those that are in positions of power, as we already have accountability for the common people. I've learned through these 4 years of researching that as you go higher up the level, there's not much accountability, and it's all about favors and who you know. Also, depending on the position you are in, that can also enlighten you to sneak past the cracks. So I think right now accountability is got out of hand by not having any, and people have taken advantage of that. So I think the biggest thing that we need right now is for those in power to be held accountable if they have done something wrong, as the common people are also.
Okay. Let me ask you, why run for the commissioner? Now, the Fox Valley Commission, or Fox Valley, is a pretty large territorial area. What do you see as something that needs an impact, and why you're choosing to run for that position?
Well, what I want to do is actually interact the people back into the Fox Valley Park District. As when I was younger, I know there was a lot of interaction with the youth. And also, we used to do things like nature trails and go along and learn about different leaves and interact with different school districts about nature, about the Fox Valley Park District. And sometimes when I go through different park districts, some are it's a little bit it's not taken care of as it was as I seen it when I was younger. They used to have a park where you could go and have a picnic and walk around and see the different windmills and older statues that have been around, and also different carvings of the natives that have been here in the past. So I just want to kind of bring that back to the people,
Okay.
get the people's ideas, and essentially what I'm trying to do and what I would like to do is just let the people know that we all can make a change. You want to find your niche and see what you can do, and then as you do that, just shoot for the stars.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. We moved out here in 2012, and one of the first places we started at was with the park districts at the Eola Community Center. I think one of the issues, and as nice as the park district is, it does not account for some of the socioeconomic factors that exist across the Fox Valley. There's people who are very rich. There are people who are very middle class. But it seems that if you cannot afford those programs, and even one of the things, and this is just my own criticism, not is criticism, but one of the things I've seen is like some of the programs are taking place like between 5 o'clock. And that even me as a professional, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, well, who are you catering to? Like, like who are you catering to between 1 and 5 o'clock? Well, that is for those who come from 2-parent homes where one parent can afford to stay. But and I know we're all subject to our own paradigms, right? And so I'm sitting there and saying, well, who's scheduling this stuff? Clearly they are operating out of a viewpoint that is not my viewpoint, because even if I catch the early train at 5 o'clock from Union Station, the earliest I can get there is 6:20, right. And if your child is on a basketball team, or you got to run somewhere, you got to run and get your kid and then run there, or even some of the practices. And when they set up the practices, you're sitting up there saying, well, wait a minute, practice at 4:30. I can't make it. And that it may not be subjectively, their intent is not to discriminate, but that's what happens when you get into that group tank. And so people such as yourself, who can be mindful of those things, I think is critical and crucial.
And I think you made a very good point, which is we want to bring it back to the people. We want to hear the people's voice, and we also want to broaden the open hand, right, to the community, and make sure it works for everybody. And I think also involving the Fox Valley, involving themselves more in the children's lives, right, and children's sports, and helping them learn things possibly right from nature and things like that, will broaden the outlook of the Fox Valley Park District as what I remember it to be. So I think we've gotten away from that, and more than anything, I think the people, right, which we pay with our tax dollars, deserve something where they can go to and feel a part of the Fox Valley Park District and everything that's going on with sports and different skills that kids and also adults can learn, and just having a place in the community to actually gather and go to. I think bringing that back will be good for all communities around.
Awesome. John, let me ask you about this mayoral. Let's get into this mayoral thing. So there initially was 3 candidates. Mayor Irving, yourself, and the third ward alderman, whose name escapes me right now.
Ted Masiacos.
Ted Masiacos, and then these other two people joined. Ms. Garcia, I believe, is one, and I'm not sure who the other candidate is. So explain that, and let's get into some of the hanky-panky that's going on behind the scenes.
So there's actually 6 people that are running.
Oh, okay.
And the first 5 to declare. The first one to declare her candidacy was actually Karina Garcia.
Okay.
And she was in the 4th of July parade and the Pride parade with a relatively large contingent. I was the second to declare. I believe Alderman Masiacos and the mayor declared around the same time. And then Jed Lofshe also declared. And then, we wanted a primary, right? Because what happened in 2021 is that there was the current mayor, and then the other 2 candidates, myself and Mr. Lofshe, split the vote, and we wound up with Richard Irvin for another 4 years. So we wanted a 5-person primary. When we were not sure if Ms. Garcia was going to get on the ballot, another friend of mine had just returned. She had lost a close relative in Mexico, went to visit and be with the family, and came back and decided that she had wanted to run as well. So we helped her get on the ballot. So what happened is the mayor doesn't want a primary, a February 25th primary. He wants to split the vote and maintain a simple majority and go back to serving for the next 4 years. So he challenged 3 petition packets. He challenged mine, he challenged Karina Garcia, and he challenged Jasmine Garcia's. Uh-huh. And I would argue that the challenge for all 3 of us was that because I had helped both of them with their paperwork and get on the ballot, that somehow we were some part of some de facto political party, and therefore we had to play by a different set of rules, which is completely bogus. There's one, we have a nonpartisan form of government. We play by these rules, and that's it. You can't introduce a second set of rules halfway through the game. So anyway, we defeated the objections. Karina Garcia had a further complication with a statement of economic interest. I believe that she has a good case to take that to the circuit court and the King County Circuit Court and have that ruling to remove her from the ballot overturned and put her back on the ballot. They voted on it yesterday, so we'll see. She has 5 days now to file an appeal within the King County Circuit Court.
Okay. What do you see? There's a reason that you put or work with 2 other candidates. But it seems that all of you are united in dethroning Mayor Irving. What do you see as the problems? And I know there are many, but what are you seeing as the top, let's say 2 or 3 problems with his mayoral legacy as it exists right now?
I think there's a lot of pay to play in politics, and I think that's at every level of government, as I indicated at the beginning of this, but we have completely different visions for the city. Right. And I think one of the things that you hinted at and that Ed addressed was to have a voice for the working class and the working people who do get off late and who might not be able to afford $30, $40 dinner night out per plate. Right. That is their form of entertainment. So can we provide, let's say, working together with the Fox Valley Park District, can we provide movies in the park, cheap, affordable entertainment for a family to come out and enjoy a night out in the summer, put a big screen up, put a movie on and maybe have some food trucks around, ice cream vendors, whatever, some local businesses, but nothing really extravagant so a family can afford to go out and have their time. We have completely different visions about the Fox River. The current mayor wants to put a lot of high-rise apartments up. One of them's going in, the 1-bedroom apartment will cost $1,800 a month. Nobody in the city of Aurora can afford that. 2-bedroom, $2,300 a month. So these are luxury apartments, 15% subsidized by the taxpayers, and they're not anywhere in the range for Aurora residents. So this is gentrification. It's pushing the existing population of the city out to bring in higher income brackets instead of trying to bring in good paying jobs and help lift the base income level per household up. Which is more where I'm at. And I also see a lot of what Ed's saying, right? So the future of the Fox River, are we going to put luxury apartments up and down that river, or are we going to put in a nature center? Because the previous mayor and Fox Valley Park District working together to put a nature center for that whole area on the east bank, sort of north of Jake's Bagels, right? If we tear that down, right, and have regrow the trees and restore it to its natural state, how it was when Native Americans were here, and put that learning center that you're talking about for engagement of the youth. And you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so this is a question of what is the future? Are we going to do this? Are we going to be a city that works for developers, or are we going to do what's in the best interest of the residents? Exactly.
So how do you balance that need? I mean, I understand business wise, there's this game that is played between the interests of business, because you need cash to successfully run a city, versus the needs of the people, right? So how do you balance that and find that match between, so the developer comes in, and I get it, the units are expensive, right? But we're talking about construction jobs that should hopefully be local. We're talking about employing minorities, that because some of the contracts should be reserved for minority women, business owned, things like that. You're talking about employment, economic things that drive growth. And the reason I'm asking this is because there seems to be this feeling going across the United States right now that my dollar is not buying what it should be. My work does not reflect what I'm able to do. And so there seems to be, with the, anointing of, our soon to be president, people are being motivated by sheer economic interest. I think more so than at any other time I've been on this earth, 48 years, kind of like coming out of the crisis with Carter. It's like Carter wasn't necessarily a bad president. He just inherited, gas shortage and Iran and those things. So with such a fervor for feeling like my dollar is now catching up, how do you defeat that? How do you explain that to people?
Well, I think first of all, we're not going to get there by subsidizing low-income jobs. We're just not going to get there. I mean, we've subsidized, I can't count them, 10, 15 restaurants downtown. Those restaurants aren't paying their people more than $15 an hour. So those are the families that are struggling, right? And the argument that they use is, well, there's this poor developer. We just need to give them more money. Construction costs are through the roof. You've seen it all, because they're stretching the dollar too. Let's just buy that argument, right? But our solution is to reach into the pockets of the people that are really struggling and have them pay for it and subsidize the rich. And there's just too much of that across the United States of America. It's every level of government. This is just trying to address it at that problem. So to answer your question, how do we support businesses and local small businesses? If we are going to, one, I think criteria should be that it should be a local business, because if there's a local restaurateur who's going to set up shop, the community is going to back them and want to see them be successful. That if it's somebody who comes from out of town and has millions of dollars and are going to rehab this old building and turn it into something Gucci Geneva, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Can I say it?
Yes.
And Aurora's just not Geneva. We're not Geneva. We're not Naperville. We're working class city. So we've got to. I think
Gucci Geneva. I like that.
It's so bad that whenever run countywide.
That comment stricken from the record.
But I just don't think you can have the poor and the people that are struggling subsidizing the rich. That's got to stop at every level. If we are going to incentivize companies, they need to be companies that are bringing living wage jobs here, or try and work with somebody local. And I don't think that the subsidies have to be as healthy as they have been, like $1 million per restaurant, or this high-end apartment building. I think we're up to $12 million that we've given them. So it's just off the charts what they're asking for and the absurdity of it.
I mean, and I understand, because restaurants, well, they have very thin profit margins, right? What we want are jobs that are long in the tooth. Restaurants typically have a high failure rate. They don't, unless our mayor is going to pass some type of bill that says, we're going to get rid of tips and we're going to pay them wages. You're in essence moving them from payroll to the government payroll, and things like that. Even with the construction jobs, at some point construction comes to the end. So my question is, how do we attract those businesses, manufacturing, things of those nature, so that the Aurora residents, as you said, we are a working class city. How do we attract those types of businesses in the absence of subsidies? What do we do, or how do we incentivize them to come?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, I think I may have talked last time. I've got a heavy focus on green building. There are some cutting edge technology. I'm following the hydrogen market really closely. It's an energy market. There's $7 billion nationally available for hydrogen infrastructure development. I would like to see some of that come to Aurora. And it is a partnership with that business, right? One, they bring in, so there's a company over in Bolingbrook currently. I've talked to them. Their current headquarters is in New York, about potentially coming to our city. They're selling pretty low in the stock market. And I think that this infrastructure expansion on hydrogen is going to make their product one that's very desirable. It's a single stack fuel cell. So you put hydrogen in and it emits water vapor. It's very green. It can power a semi truck. It's not like a EV or electric truck or school bus. It's a heavier product. Okay. So I think this is going to be the future for moving larger vehicles. Aurora's on an interstate, so we got room for a refueling station. We could bring the manufacturing here for that. We have a distribution network between the railroad and interstate locations that we have. So we're a very ideal location for a company like that that's going to be producing next generation energy solutions for moving large vehicles. So that's what I'm looking at, is can we bring those companies in? And if we are providing some subsidy to bring the company here, then we have a right to ask that, or to demand that they pay a living wage to their workers. And then we also have the training program. And if our people go through, by our people, I mean the citizens of Aurora go through that training program, now they are eligible for those jobs, and that's how we keep it local.
Awesome. Ed, I want to harken you back to one of our last shows here. And I want you to recall, it was regarding the police commission board. Do you recall that? I think it was just being formed. And I think there were some issues with how those positions were being allocated. Do you recall that?
I think so.
Tell it like it is.
And there was it was I don't want to use the word shady. What's the word? There was some questions that needed to be answered about these positions and who was going to be on it. And yes. I remember we were having a very heated discussion about paying for new police helmets. And I don't remember. Has it been 4 years since you've been on the show? But we were still talking about body cams.
Yes.
One, did the body cams ever happen?
We got the body cams.
Okay.
Yes, we did. So, I mean, that I'll say that was a victory for Aurora, the citizens, even though they did not want body cameras and they fought
tooth and nail
to not try to get them, or for their own reasons, maybe financial or whatever it was. Wow. At the end of the day, we did end up getting the body cameras for the citizens and for the police officers, right, of Aurora. And I think it made a drastic change in the statistics, and it made a drastic change in the truthfulness coming to the community as far as being able to have that body camera and that hidden eye that previously we never had in Aurora. So, but they also did get the riot gear, which is fine. They haven't had no need to use it, so that's okay. But most important, we got the body cameras. I think it does bring some accountability forward. But also there are some hidden gray areas in there about the body cameras. But as you know, also within the past 4 years, all of a sudden, Aurora has become one of the greatest cities to live in. So with that being said, I want to say that Aurora has always been a great place to live in. I think that although Aurora, like any other place, has had crime, I think in some areas the crime was a little bit enhanced. And I think with Aurora getting those body cameras, some of those situations have been kind of filtered out. And now it's actually showing what Aurora really is. But you have to be able to look in between the gray areas and read in between the lines to understand what's really going on.
Which came first, the body? Because the debate we were having was they want to pay for the riot gear. We had never really had riots before they had gotten the camera. So I just for my, what do you remember which came first? Or
Well, because we were in the heat of the moment, they definitely got the riot gear first, which made more sense to them since they hadn't had either. I guess they figured they'd go with the riot gear. But again, they say they've come around to it. They like the body cameras now too, also because it helps them. But I think with the police officers always having the benefit of the doubt, I think in Aurora's situation, it really helped the community, and it really helped the community have a chance to have a voice and a pair of eyes on the scene.
Okay. What about the police board? What happened with that?
So I'll say there was a select few of people on the police board, and I think didn't go as well as the people in the community planned it to go. I think Richard Irvin, he did somewhat pick the committee that was going to be there. So I think off top, it kind of unbalanced the insight that the community was looking for. Right away, we thought that, and as it turned out to be, that it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Me personally, I have tried to fill out some paperwork for the Citizens Review Board. I have not been contacted back.
Shocking.
Seems like the rules that they put down definitely are not being followed. As I say, I've took on a journey in a different mindset for the past 4 years, following and connecting with people about injustices and how do we solve them, and how do we communicate to get to the right person to take action, whichever way that may need to be. And unfortunately, I've ran into a wall of no accountability. And that's just one thing, one reason why I'm running, and one thing that I want to bring back is I'm running for the people. In any situation, we want to make sure that we are accountable, no matter what. But in Aurora, unfortunately, corruption, accountability, and malicious intent has taken over. And we need to bring it back to the people, which I know the people of Aurora are tired of the business and politics as far as lying and denying. And I think we have enough business already set up where now if we focus on the people, I believe then we can make we can have an even playing field. But I think for too long, the people have been forgotten, and all of a sudden business has taken a toll in Aurora. But in order for the business to be successful, the people in Aurora need to be successful. And I also want to mention too, like you said about building the community, I think Aurora community would feel better if they were involved in those construction jobs or such and so forth. But anybody who lives in Aurora or looks around at the construction sites, people in Aurora are left out. And there are also people of different demographics who are also left out of those construction jobs. So I would just say that we need to make sure that it hits home. And when it hits home, then we'll be more happy to support those things that come around us, because we also will be building as our city builds. But what's happening right now is my taxes have went up 3 times in 5 years. property taxes. So I think that we need to give back to the people instead of taking from the people. And that's in all aspects. I mean, as far as politics, we need to have real people in those seats of power and for the community. We don't need to just have builders. We don't need to just have people with PhDs. We need people with real hearts, real minds, and a real connection to the people to actually make a real change.
Awesome. Yeah. John, coming to the top of the hour, let me ask you this. When you get into office, you only have so much time to do and implement the policies and changes that you want to see done. Assuming if we go with, the presidential model, those first 100 days, what are you doing? Those first 100 days, what changes would you like to see done when you have your full political capital and, you've cast out the old and, you come in and, let's assume that, you get 55% of the vote. All right. What are you doing in those first 100 days?
So the first thing is, I think a lot of the changes I'm talking about are large and what I would call systemic that we need to fix. And those aren't going to be fixed in 100 days. I think in that first 100 days, what you're going to do is start by having an open listening session, a community meeting, probably move around the wards and take feedback and see where the people want to go in each direction. I would be working for the people. So to me, that's step number one. And step number two, I've got my own vision, right? But I've also got to be functioning on behalf of the people that have elected me. So I bring the two together, and then you have to hire the staff necessary to carry out that vision. And you get community buy-in for what you're doing by having those open public meetings and getting the feedback from people about where they want to go. I have some very clear-cut ideas about what I want to do. We've talked about, investing in the community and environment, training programs, et cetera. But I think it's important to have that community engagement as an early step in my administration. The second step is putting the people in place and restructuring the government to meet the needs of the community. I do want a much more responsive city government that's responding from everything from pothole complaints to I need this tree trimmed to, let's just talk about actually giving the CRB a budget so they can conduct an independent investigation for some cases, and finding...
That's the Citizen Review Board.
The CRB, yeah. Correct. Yeah, the Civilian Review Board that's in place. There's going to be appointments to some of those positions that are going to change, people with different philosophies. But I think that first 100 days, I'm not looking to put any big points on the board. It's going to be listening sessions. It's going to be team building. It's going to be getting community buy-in for a new vision. It's going to be working with state and other local officials to incorporate them and to make sure that we're bringing in state and federal resources to do what we've got to do. So this might not sound sexy. I'm not going to, drop any big promises, but I think that's a realistic look at what that first 100 days looks like. There is an issue that has been driving me nuts since I got elected. Okay. For the past 3 years, there's a company called HelloFresh that is effectively polluting the neighborhood, not just with smells, but some of their equipment emits a gaseous fume. It's the old Lowe's building on Orchard Road and in Indian Trail, and they've turned that into a prepackaged meals that really blew up during the pandemic. But the people that are living in that neighborhood, some of them have their windows taped shut. There's a woman that sleeps in her gas mask. I've been over there, and in 10 minutes, I had a headache. My eyes were watering.
But it's called HelloFresh.
Wow. They call it Hello. They call it Hello Not So Fresh. But that's in the first 100 days, right? And just some other simple stuff outside of the big, how do we move systemic change forward is there's places where we need guardrails up to keep citizens out of the retention ponds. We have a couple retention ponds. We've had, I just want to say, 3 drownings and 4 vehicles in those retention ponds, and analyzing those and getting those up. That's a public safety issue. There's some other intersections that need to be addressed, but those are going to require some longer term traffic studies and re-engineering to restructure those roads and intersections. But public safety is going to be a big one on my list. Maybe not from the aspect of increasing the police budget, but but trying to find other ways to mitigate some of the problems and make it safer to drive. I don't know if you know this, but Eola Road, I want to say in the last 2 years, there's 1,400 accidents on Eola Road.
And that's right by mine where I live. Yeah. So
and so right?
Yeah.
And you go to the community center, great community center, but it's an issue.
Yeah. I mean, you're coming off of 88 where the speed minimum is 88 allegedly and you're coming off of Yola, which is a straight road, and you just kind of have that mentality. Ed, as a final question, I give this moniker to you as nothing you've ever said, as the everyday Aurora person. All right, as someone who is very well connected, knows what's going on, knows the challenges and knows the opportunities. It's 2027, and there's been a change in the local leadership. And we're getting ready to head into the new election cycle. Put yourself in that position. And let's say it's September, all right, of 2027. What changes would you have liked to see in Aurora in the politics? What to you would say this is victory or this is success?
Well, to be honest, the victory and the success is just when you have somebody who serves the people. That would be more than an abundance of gratefulness to be part of that, and also to see somebody actually step into that, or a group of people to step into that and actually start caring about the people. If we look at the statistics and look at what's going on around, if anybody, let me know what's being done for the actual people. Even though they've put up nice restaurants and done a couple of other things, as a homeowner, that doesn't necessarily help me, right? And also, I also have to go spend my money to go to those things. So I would just like to see politics, people in politics, people in powerful positions to start thinking about actual people, right? And put themselves, which they should, because they're humans, but put themselves in situations where everyday people have to evolve, make things better, or deal with. Therefore, we can have a better community. Believe it or not, I'm not here to, but Richard Irvin had a chance to show a lot of the surrounding cities, if not the world, how good Aurora could have been with great leadership. He had that chance. And unfortunately, he turned towards business and his friends to act like they were community. And by doing that, he left a whole community behind. And we just want to be heard. We want to be treated equally. And we want people to care about us as citizens, as taxpayers. We don't want to be felt like we're just a bank where they take our money and give to other people. I think that they should be given back to the people who have given to them, and have them something, like I said, in the Fox Park District for their kids, or for them to go out or to learn something new, maybe about trees and the grass and different types of shrubs, berries, all type of things there is to learn. We have to give something back to the community, to the people, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And the people that are in position now, they're supposed to be serving the people, not businesses and friends as if they are the people in the community.
Awesome. John, I do want you to give out your website. Can you give us your website?
Sure. It's johnforaurora.com.
Okay.
I'll give out my cell phone. It's 630-878-7454. If people want a yard site and want to volunteer, they have a question or need an issue resolved, my top goal is to be accessible to the public.
Look, I try to be neutral, as any host should be, because I also want other people to come on the show and,
Sure.
Not feel like, oh, I'm just here, Vice President Harris went. I don't feel like when you're going onto a show, you feel like you're going into enemy territory. Like, we, as a host, I do believe that there is nothing wrong with advocacy, but we also have to deal in facts, and I think people have gotten turned off because now we're even questioning basic facts, and give it up to them. Fake news. I mean, Fox News did a great job of undermining, but undermining comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. When you begin to doubt those systems that are supposed to support you, and people are left frustrated, and the only thing they want to do is tear it down. And I think that's what's happening. It's like we can't figure out a way to get this system to work. So we got to tear it down. We want to go with the most radical thing that there is. And I think more so than pocketbooks, I think what we are experiencing now is this frustration that everybody is out for themselves. And so when they talk about this Make America Great Again, I always ask, well, what particular group are you talking about great for? Because, up until, I don't know, 1975, it wasn't so good for a lot of people, right?
You want to go
back
to make it great again. Right?
But I think what they're hearkening to is that time when Kennedy said, we can go to the moon. That was something aspirational. Our politicians are always not only supposed to be inspirational, but aspirational, right? They are supposed to inspire us to pursue our better angels, to go and uplift our fellow man, There was a time when poverty was not a moral crime. We understood that people were born into different economic stanzas. Eisenhower would be a Republican that I could vote for, because he understood the prison industrial complex and the military complex. And he was motivated by not his party, but by his country. And so Trumpism has taken that idea of American togetherness and ingenuity and twisted it and warped it into this nightmare where we talk about Make America Great Again, but that America is exclusionary, right? It excludes certain groups. It blames other people. Kennedy's and Eisenhower and those and Obama's you just look, their job was to unify the people, right? And so we're sitting here with two candidates who understands that diversity is not meant to be an anchor, right? Diversity is meant to enhance the human experience, right? I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. But when we come together and we say, okay, this is our common goal, and in spite of our differences, we can create policies and do things that uplift those who are less fortunate than me, even those who are fortunate. If you have driven and want to do all of that, God bless and go with you, right? But it should not come at the cost of my fellow man. And right now we are in this divide. And this is what I want, and I know I'm preaching and it's the end of the show, but when you have to blame someone else for your problems and you're voting for that, when they can say, oh, it's them, right? How long before it's you? That's the problem, right? If your leaders are seeking to divide, there's a reason for that. If you don't believe me and you want to be Christian or whatever, the first thing the devil does is what? Try to convince you that you're alone, right? So think about that. Think about, what is this politician doing? Who is he blaming? Who is he saying is the scapegoat? We want to blame the McDonald's worker who's making $15, but McDonald's is losing money all the time, but the CEO's check ain't changed. What would happen if we said, hey, the CEO can't make no more than 6 times what they pay their lowest worker? What would happen, right? But they convince us to blame the person who's beneath us, or they want to put us on level. They want to, stratifize us, and things like that. So we have two candidates here, and any other candidate that wants to come on and talk about unity, and we can disagree about economic policy. Reasonable minds do that. We can disagree about social policy, right? But if you're coming on here and you're trying to denigrate, blame, and put out false facts, that's where I have to stop being neutral, and we have to call you on it, because that's where this frustration is coming from. And we got to get out of our camps. We got to get out of our camps and realize that there is gold in talking to people who have different interests. All right.
I have a question here for both these gentlemen.
All right.
Really, this is a treat for me to be sitting next to someone that's, a commissioner and someone that's running for mayor. And speaking of Trumpism, as you were pointing out just a little bit ago, in regards to some of the stuff that he's preached on, saying, giving carte blanche to basically the police to say, hey, we're going to give them whatever they want to do, whatever they need to do. At both of you gentlemen's level, how do you combat something like that for each of you? That's a big question when you brought police reform earlier.
So what you're saying is, are the federal dollars now going to be tied to certain policies that have to be implemented at the local level?
At the local level, yes.
I think, first of all, I want to wait and see what it says. Number two, I can tell you we address some things, with respect to police reform. I've actually voted against having ShotSpotter in the city of Aurora. And it's a technological attempt to try and increase police response time. But most of the statistics show that
48%.
Police are responding to fireworks.
Yeah.
And you know what? It happened literally 3 blocks down from me, where somebody did come, shotgun, right through the front window.
Wow.
And a lady called the police, and they went and they checked the ShotSpotter, and they called her back and said, ma'am, we think it's fireworks in your neighborhood. She's like, no, they're shooting. They didn't show
I am familiar with this sound, and you are mistaken.
So that that's an example of a piece of technology that's not working, and we need to get rid of it. I know they're trying to get rid of it in Chicago. This is going to play into immigration policy as well. I think that's probably where Donald Trump is going to go with this. And I don't want to see the Aurora police get wrapped up in ICE's business, because it happened in Geneva. I know I've already brought Geneva up. Where they had an ICE raid in Geneva, and they arrested some legal citizens claiming that they were not, because let's just face it, somebody with the name Juan Garcia could be here legally or not, right? And so they arrested some U.S. citizens and threw them in a nice detention camp. And again, I don't remember if this is St. Charles or Geneva, but now the city is liable for that wrongful arrest. So I will not be participating in that at all. We don't know what is coming from the president,
right.
But I'm just letting you know some of the boundaries that I want to respect. And I have a voting record on trying to curb some of what the solutions that are out there.
And to be fair to President Trump, he don't know what's coming from him either. So look, we've come to the top of the hour. This has been fantastic. As I want you guys to come back as we get closer. I mean, proximity dictates a lot, and it's hard for us, especially during this time of the year and season. And I think we're coming off of a little bit of political fatigue, a little bit of political regret. But I think it is very critical. I urge anybody else who's running in the city of Aurora for mayor or for any of the offices that are open, give us a call, 708-223-8953. Hit us up on Facebook, Elevated Vibes. Reach out to Ed. Everybody got Ed's number. I went walking with Ed, and we could not go 3 feet without somebody like, "What's up, Ed? What's up, Ed? What's up?" Like, how you know all of these people do? Oh, I went to school with him. I know his daughter. So man of the people. So reach out to Ed. He will definitely say, hey, this is their number. Come on the show and talk about it. Closing remarks, Detroit. You got anything you want to say? Close it up.
No, this has been very educational. It's been a treat for me to sit next to these two gentlemen and listen to what they've done and what they're going to do. I think that we're in short supply of people, that want to run and actually want to do something for the people of any city. And so this is just coming from me. I applaud both of you gentlemen for what you're doing and, what you plan on doing. And I hope to definitely see you guys again, definitely hope that you guys win. And, I'm looking forward to that. We'll just put it out in ether right now. You're going to win. All right. So yeah.
I like my odds.
Yeah.
So let it be proclaimed. So let it be done.
So let it be done.
All right. So remember, challenges are just stepping stones to greatness. If you are being challenged, that means that the universe is calling forth something out of you that you did not know that you had within you. We are all on a mission to exceed to our higher plane. This has been Elevated Vibes. We wish you a good week, happy belated holiday, and spread a little bit of that season spirit and cheer. It's cold outside. All right. We never underestimate the opportunity to have a positive impact with just a smile and a hello. Elevated Vibes. See you. Peace. Thank you.